Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're enjoying your day so far, and today we're going to talk about a number of interesting topics which have developed over the last 24 hours. We've got some new gentlemen's agreements in the Challenger side, we've got Challengers, Rostermania, and we've also got potential map changes with raids coming into effect. Which map is going to go out of the rotation? It may not be the one a lot of people were expecting. Intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Firstly, this from the Call of Duty League, the CDL 2021 launch pack is now in the in-game store, as they say. If you see this on the opposing team, as some of you may have done, watch out. And well, certainly these guys tend to be the fry masters with ego challenge their calling cards, certainly running into a lot of these given the skill-based matchmaking in the game as it is right now. And as Crone says yesterday, Challenger Rostermania number 2 is happening, so a lot of things changing. We talked about a week or so ago, Parasite's team fell apart. They dropped him off the team of Blast, Decimate, and Neptune as it was at the time, and well, that squad has indeed fallen apart once again. So Decimate says free agent for Challengers, let me know what is going on. Blast says a similar thing, free agent for Challengers, looking to run an SMG. If you want a team, hit me up. Supposedly this team was, well, it was going okay, but Blast actually was meant to be running the main assault rifle, or they wanted him to run the main AR, but he didn't really want to, so they just decided to break up as a squad. And that leaves a question about Neptune, this, well, fantastic Halo talent, as we talked about a week or so ago, kind of stuck on this toxic environment. He actually now potentially is teaming up with Spart, formerly of the Los Angeles Guerrillas last season right here, so my boy at Neptune. And then really the question is, where is Parasite going to be? Some questions as to, what team Parasite's going to be joining. And as he says right here, Mike quit, no BS, like talking about how he doesn't really have a squad lined up right now. And, well, seems to have been replaced on another team as well, because this was discussed on the Reddit right here. Supposedly, Parasite's team was going to be Spart, Frosty, and Saints, but that may not be the case, as Scorpio says Prolu is on that team now in Parasite's place. So a lot of question marks exactly what's going on here. And as Parasite says, like, he might even quit the scene if he doesn't, well, get an opportunity on one of these squads. And the similar questions maybe around Doug Sensor Martin, the fact that, what exactly is going on with him. We saw a couple of days ago he wanted to team with Parasite. Maybe Parasite will actually have to pick up Doug, and that would be one for the ages if that actually did go down. And, well, as Crone says right here, these are some of the tweets that we imagine are going on right now. So Zed, Dens, Jordan, Gunjar was that former center squad we looked at a few days ago. Doug nowhere to be seen on here right now, and Parasite certainly up in the air. But these are some of the teams that are going on the Challenger side. And speaking, of course, of the Challenger side, there are plenty of gentlemen's agreements flying around all over the place, and we're going to talk about what some of those are for the Challenger side in just a second here, and really some of the impact of some of these GAs, because a lot of people would argue, and I think for good reason, that the GAs are just going way too far this year, and every single year they seem to go a little bit further and a little bit further, and now it gets to the point where everything is being GA'd, even things that aren't, like, obviously broken. In other titles, in other esports, this isn't really the case. When weapons are known to become viable, pros just tend to suck it up and use them for a time, and at some point then it gets nerfed or it gets changed or whatever the case may be. But this title, we tend to be GAing stuff which isn't really even like the best gun, you can argue, especially when we look at the AK in just a second here. There's certainly an argument to be said that the XM4, which Formula's been using to great effect, is actually just straight up better than the AK in a number of different respects, but yet the AK is still the weapon, the AK47, this being the assault rifle, that is, well, potentially getting gentlemen's agreemented out of the game right now. But at the same time, the 74U, the AK74U dominates the arena, but yet that's still not being GA'd. So many question marks around exactly why this is being done, and I think honestly it really does turn off new viewers, in the sense that if you're coming into the scene, you're wondering why they aren't using a weapon that you consider to be very strong, and you find out it's just because they're GAing it for kind of arbitrary reasons. A lot of people ask me in the comment section about, like, why is this gentleman's agreemented, and I kind of have to explain, okay, maybe it's due to it reduces the skill gap or something of that effect, and it's somewhat difficult to explain it sometimes to people who are trying to understand exactly why things that are in the game as standard and aren't banned in the CDL rule set, the pros decide not to use. And when this goes further and further and further, it gets to the point where it probably alienates some new fans to the scene. That's not something, of course, we want to do, especially given how good this year could be, in theory, as we talked about earlier today, with the new format, and of course, how good this game is. The other question mark, just before we get onto those GAs then, is actually what the map set looks like for the upcoming season, because, of course, Raid is in the map set, there's no doubt about that. Everyone's been playing on it, I've been loving it personally, and the only map I really have fun on playing public matches, and well, as Crone says right here, Crossroads out, Raid in. There's big question marks. It's okay, what is Raid going to replace in the map set? Does it have to replace anything? Interestingly, right now, Cartel is still officially in the CDL rule set. They haven't released a CDL rule set V2 where they removed Cartel, but the pros haven't played on it for like weeks, I don't know, probably a month at this point. The pros haven't been playing Cartel on. So the question mark was, okay, maybe they just keep Crossroads, keep Checkmate, keep all these other maps, and then just remove Cartel, bring Raid in, and we have a pretty diverse map pool. However, they seem to have decided actually that Crossroads is the one to be out. I think someone maybe even mentioned that Formor said that Moscow might be the one that was out, and a lot of people have been suggesting that it should be Checkmate. A lot of people don't really like Checkmate, but well, Envoy and Co suggesting that it's actually going to be Crossroads, which does admittedly have questionable spawns, questionable rotations, and is actually going to be the map which is disappearing for competitive play in favor of Raid. Is this the right call, though?
Okay. Wait, why are we not playing Crossroads today?
Because fucking...
Because the map sucks and Raid's in.
As Clayster says right here, people are sleeping on Checkmate hardpoint, so he reckons that, yeah, maybe Crossroads should be the one to go. Checkmate, which is the one with the plane in the middle, shouldn't be actually removed at all. And, well, that's the situation that's going to happen right now. And yes, Crossroads is a little bit questionable. As Parasite says, I like every map except Moscow, bro. I literally fall asleep on that map and die to people who play like rodents. My grandma can hold a setup. So, yeah, certainly some question marks, some clashes really between the professional players on which map should be got rid of in favor of Raid. Everyone's in a unanimous agreement that Raid should be in the competitive rotation, which is of course fantastic to see. But does a map need to be removed? Seems like Crossroads right now, the pros are deciding not to scrim it, and then they're effectively gentlemen's agreement in Crossroads for the rotation, right? It comes so far that even the CDL say, okay, XYZ is what you're going to be playing. They've just decided, okay, we're not going to be playing Crossroads. We're just going to tell the CDL that's what we're going to do. It'd be kind of entertaining if they turned up to the first event and the CDL were like, look, this is the rule set. You're playing Cartel Hardpoint Map 1, Crossroads Hardpoint Map 4. Unlucky, lads. But yeah, obviously the pros have more control than just that. But yeah, is this the right move? Do you think this is the right map to be got rid of in favor of Raid? Do we even need a map to get rid of? Which is your favorite hardpoint map? Because in my opinion, Checkmate's a little bit questionable, but Clayster seems to be kind of liking it right here. But honestly, I think with some tweaks, Crossroads could be pretty good, right? In 5 versus 5, Crossroads would be a nightmare, don't get me wrong. But in 4v4, if the spawns were properly done, I think honestly that map could be pretty good. And I personally have enjoyed it quite a lot. But I'm sure the pros have their reasons for this change. Now, as Mayhem says, this is really where we get into the GA discussion. Playing a new game every week in OBS, then he comes back, my bad, more like every 2 or 3 days there's some new gentleman's agreement that comes into effect. And we see some discussion right here from Crew. So current pro GAs with changes too. And I believe these aren't all pro GAs. Some of these are being tested in the challenger side first. And but you know, the problem is that some of these GAs that come in through the challenger side, they do proliferate into the professional scene, as we've seen a couple of times now with Smokes. I think the challenger stopped using them and then the pros kind of followed along. Even though kind of interesting, right? You'd imagine the challengers would follow the pros, not the other way around. But that seems to be how it's going. And yeah, so one sniper, one smoke, and S&D is the trial right now. Bullet velocity only barrel. So the task force, for example, is going to be GA'd. It seems like the pros are definitely not using the task force barrel anymore because it's close to explain it's kind of a high cal barrel or whatever, in reference to the Krig getting its headshot multiplier nerfed. They didn't want to have the same thing happen on the AK-74. It's super strong. The AK-47 banned. The KSP, this new 3-round burst SMG that got good in the latest update with this more effective range, that's banned. The 1911, the pistol right now in the game, that apparently is also gone. I mean, like, are you kidding me, guys? Like, the 1911, is it really that strong? Obviously, it's a very good pistol, don't get me wrong, but compared to some of the pistols we've had in previous games, you guys remember the RK5 from Black Ops 3? The fastest killing gun in the entire game was a 1-burst with the RK5. That gun was outrageous. That was in the game the entire year. I can't wait for the 1911 to get gentleman's agreement, and then everyone's using the 3-round burst, the Raffica type pistol, and then, okay, someone gets a 1-burst with that, and then they say, okay, actually, maybe this 3-round burst pistol is a bit too strong. We have to GA that out of the game as well. People start using the Magnum pistol, which is actually very strong as well. It's like, yeah, you GA something, then something else is discovered, which is actually very strong as well. So yeah, pretty remarkable to me. As I say, I'm not sure this is quite proliferated into the professional side as yet, but yeah, the KSP, that's a 3-round burst SMG, which apparently is very good, seems to be gone. Score streaks are allowing some things, but yeah, the AK-47, is it even the best AR in the game? You could argue that it's not necessarily. That apparently is also gone. So kind of chaos right here once again. Are you really surprised? As Luty says, EUGA, the AK is still being used in scrims as it's being tested to see whether it should be un-GA'd or not. Teams are also trying with no task force to see if this is viable. There'll be a vote over the coming days. This is the European Challenger side, what is going on exactly right there. And as Crone says, for now, top teams have GA'd the AK-47 and task force barrel in the North American Challengers. In Europe, as we just talked about, what Luty was talking about. And CDL pros of the task force still likely GA'd. And maybe they will follow some of these GAs that Cruz is talking about over the coming days. But yeah, pretty remarkable to see this keeps happening again and again and again. Maps are getting GA'd, weapons are getting GA'd. As Tish says, RIP AK was a fun one day with you before they've decided it's just too good and we have to use a different weapon before they then realize that maybe the XM4 is actually too good or the FFAR is too good or whatever, and then we have to use a different weapon again. I mean, it's just a never-ending cycle, especially given the fact that it's not just the AK that's viable, right? Like, I still see people using Krigs, I still see people using XM4s, for example, and yeah, it's the question mark is actually how strong is the AK? Obviously, it's a very good weapon, but it's not like dominating the meta. It's not like the ITRA when that was introduced to Call of Duty World War II. So yeah, not exactly sure this is a correct move. And just to finish off with this is the kind of stuff we talked about a couple of weeks ago when we've been discussing the cheating issues, and this comes out yesterday. So there was this Toronto Ultra 5K, and this guy and his team got forfeited for supposedly cheating, right? So I watched a couple of these clips, and I didn't really see anything particularly dodgy going on at all in these clips, especially given the comms that he comes out with to explain exactly why he looked in a certain direction based on this communication he had from his teammates. But the problem is, the guys that these guys beat in round one, I think it was Mohawk and co, they then said to the Toronto Ultra, like, you know, the organizer of the tournament, that okay, like, you know, these guys, something dodgy's going on, they're hacking, and well, they just got straight forfeited out of the tournament. Because the problem is, with all the cheaters actually going around the scene, all of a sudden, when perfectly legitimate players have just a very good couple of maps here or there, you know, there's a question mark around, okay, he's cheating, let's just get him banned, he's got to get off the scene. And so, well, this tweet as well, you know, screw you Call of Duty kids, legit got disqualified for quote-unquote cheating, where nothing actually, you know, illegitimate was going on at all. But, well, certainly a problem which is going to continue to happen over the coming weeks and months, I imagine. As soon as an amateur player has a decent result, the question marks come out as to whether they're cheating, and even in this case, getting DQ'd from tournaments, whereas, well, supposedly they were perfectly legitimate, and the clips didn't really seem to be anything suspect from my perspective. Intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. Really helps out the YouTube algorithm to know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the professional Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.